Some time back, somebody asked a question in the comments, where do astral parasites come from? And I'm sure it was Deb, but unfortunately I seem to have misplaced the actual comment in the question. But I thought it was a great topic to actually talk about, so that's what I'm going to do today. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Okay, so where do astral parasites come from? I think before we actually get into that, we just need to recap what astral parasites are, just in case this is your first time hearing about them. If you haven't been through any of my previous videos, I do speak about, have spoken about astral parasites quite extensively in the past. But let's just have a look at what they actually are first. So an astral parasite is very similar to a physical parasite. And in both cases, you wouldn't want that parasite to be affecting you or to be infested by the parasites. So therefore you would cleanse, you would clean your system. So just as the same thing as having an infestation of physical parasites, you would clean, you would cleanse, you would get rid of them. That's what you want to do with astral parasites. Now, a parasitic connection is quite vampiric in nature, actually. It's all a take relationship. There's no give from the actual parasite itself. So what you'll find is that a parasite will attach to you and it will just start taking energy from you. And what will usually happen is that parasite will communicate with you. This is probably where the astral parasite differs from a physical parasite in a sense. Even a physical parasite will communicate in a manner in order to make things worse for you so that it can feed more. But in this case, what you'll probably find is you communicate with the astral parasite. It has some kind of intelligence and it will give you things, bring you things in order to develop trust. Once it's developed that trust, it can then start to tell you things and ask you to do things which are against your morals, which are against your ethical code, which make you feel uncomfortable, and it will start to create fears and anxieties and depression. And if you are already an anxious or depressed person, it's just going to escalate that and make it worse, because in order for it to feed, what it usually feeds on is fear and negativity, negative emotions, negative reactions. So all of that fear, the anger, the pain, the depression, the frustration, all of that type of negative, low vibrational energy, and the more it can create, the more it can feed on. So it will attach to you and it will get you to trust it first of all, and then it will continue to start creating these or escalating your depression or anxiety and such things. So that's really what an astral parasite is. Now, astral parasites usually are not life-threatening. There are some cases where it can become quite severe, especially if you are a medium that's just starting, your abilities are just starting to awaken. What you'll probably find is you start opening gates unconsciously, and the more you ask assistance from people to close those gates and cleanse you, you just open them up again unconsciously, and the astral parasites come through this gate and they attach to you, and it just it escalates and becomes quite a serious thing. But usually, just starting out in magic on the paths, you'll probably pick up an astral parasite. We all do every now and again. It's not something we can really completely and utterly avoid. We do learn to develop practices and methods which kind of reduce that effect, reduce us coming into contact with them in order that we can actually stop that from happening. But we're going to pick them up every now and again because we deal with negativity every day. And I'll get into a bit more of that just now as we're going through where they actually come from. So astral parasites really do come from a variety of different places. And the different types of astral parasites we could encounter are quite vast in definition and categories. But I think the three main areas we can look at would be, first of all, from what I mentioned just now, is if you are developing mediumistic abilities, you're probably unconsciously opening gates. If that's happening, then the best thing you can do is learn how to close the gates. So learn about your own abilities, what's happening to you. And you may go through a long period where this is happening, and it takes a while to get it under control. But, that's fine, because what happens during that process is you learn how to deal with them. You learn what they are, what they feel like, and then in the future, when it happens again, you've got that foundation, you've got that knowledge, and then you can just react to it immediately and counter the effects. So you may go through a long period where you are being attacked, where you are having some difficulties, but learning how to deal with it is part and parcel of becoming a medium and becoming a magic worker, really. And you may find that you get to the point where you don't want to deal with this and you want to give up, and then you just shut down all your abilities. That's a choice that you will have to make. But if you choose to continue, then the best thing to do is learn how to close the gates. Reach out to somebody who can help you with that. But usually what happens is we reach out to people in order to ask them to sort out the problem, which means getting rid of the astral parasites for you and closing those gates for you. And as I said previously, what usually happens then is, even though somebody came along and helped you and closed the gates and did all this other work, you just immediately open them again and you're back to square one. So the best thing to do in a situation like that is learn how to do it yourself, and then you will stop opening those gates unconsciously. You become more aware of it, you become more skilled. All right, so that's really where we find that astral parasite attack from that point of view. Another place or another area that they can come from is personal attacks. Now, with personal attacks, this can be conscious or unconscious. We speak about the evil eye, and the evil eye is usually somebody, or quite often a group of people who are jealous of you, and they, through that energy exchange, the jealousy, the emotions that are behind their, I can't really say actions, it's not an action, but that the intensity of the emotions that they feel toward you, and those are negative emotions, they are going to attack you. But as I said, usually that kind of thing is quite often unconscious. They don't consciously go after you, but they just have this jealousy, these emotions, these deep, intense emotions that they feel towards you, and that comes with energy, and that energy gets projected. So quite often those kind of attacks will be unconscious. And as I said, we usually speak about the evil eye, but in some cases it could be a sticky energy which attaches to you and starts to drain your own energy, and this is a form of astral parasite. It is a parasite which is taking from you, and it is etheric in nature. It's an energy body. So this can, as I said, can be classified as an astral parasite. On the other hand, there are people who could consciously be doing this, magic workers, witches, who are just out to get you. You know, this does happen. Not everybody gets along, unfortunately, and some people just feel like they should be attacking any Tom, Dick, and Harry that walks by and looks at them, you know, with a bit of a side glance. But they will just attack. Now, in cases like that, when you know you're being attacked by a specific person, there's a variety of different actions you can take. With the first one, where it's more of an unconscious attack, usually you would just clean yourself, just cleanse, do protection work, just general protection work. There's no need to go after the person or people. They are kind of living in a situation where they are just continuously surrounded by negativity, and it's not good for them. So you can just leave them to their own devices, really. So just a cleansing, get rid of that negative energy. But in the case of a conscious attack, you're going to want to protect yourself. You're going to want to probably send that back. One of the best methods I find is the witch bottle. And when we talk about the witch bottle, we're not talking about spell jars. We are talking about an actual witch bottle. And the witch bottle is really quite simple. All you do is you take some sharp objects, pins, needles, nails, razor blades, whatever it may be, but those, you know, the pins and the needles and the nails create like a bit of a mesh and a maze within the bottle, and that maze itself actually traps the energy of the attack. And in this case, again, we could classify it as an astral parasite, because no matter what the attack is, it has an energy behind it, and that energy can become a sentient being, a being which is energetic in nature and which attaches to you and drains your energy. I'm not going to say that's in every single case. Every spell working is different, but in some cases it can be thought of and considered to be an astral parasite. So in a situation like that, witch bottle, so you take all the pins and needles and nails, you put them into the bottle. There's usually a set number. If you read up about witch bottles, I've read 3, I've read 9 of each. So, you know, the idea is to create a maze and a meshwork within the bottle with these pointy objects. So you would put them all in, and then you would take your own urine and you would put that into the bottle, you would seal it, and then you would bury it, usually at the entrance to your front door. If you can bury it under the path that's leading up to your front door, that's perfect. If you can bury it under the actual threshold of the steps leading up to the front door, that's excellent. But quite often we can't dig under the paving or under the actual foundations of the house. So what you could do is put it next to the path. If you've got soil or garden or something like that, you could put it into a plant pot that's near your front door. If you are living in an apartment or a flat where you can't do that at all at your front door, outside your front door, you can always put it in a plant pot just inside your front door. Or if you have a balcony or a patio or something like that, put it in there. So it's usually located at an entrance to your home, and it's usually buried. So if you cannot bury it in the ground, then bury it in a plant pot. Now, what the urine does, firstly, it acts as a dummy. So your own urine it has your essence and it has your energy. So the energy of the spell work, or the energy of the astral parasite, then gets attracted to the bottle itself, goes into the bottle and gets trapped. Okay. There are other ways to work with the witch bottle. For instance, once you have the pins and the needles and the pointy things in it with your own urine, you then slowly heat it, and this is considered to be an attack on the person that attacked you, so kind of returning that energy. As you're heating the bottle and the urine within the bottle is a representation of the other witch's bladder, and heating it would actually cause pain and injury to them, to the point where they can actually die. Well, that's the legend and the myth behind the witch bottle anyway. So there's that type of thing. Now, I think personally that most of the astral parasites that we encounter come from people who are just producing them from random thoughts. They become thought forms, and it's not anything, it's not a personal attack on you, it's not a personal attack on anybody. It's just negative emotions and thoughts that they have throughout the day that build up and build up and build up, and then it creates a thought form. So if you were to imagine a crowd of people, let's think of a shopping mall or a square or something where loads and loads of people are just walking back and forth. Some are going to the shops, some are trying to get home, some are trying to catch transport, a bus or a train or something. Some are just walking aimlessly because that's all they really want to do in life. So some people are happy. Maybe they just fell in love, maybe they just got some good news, maybe they just found out that they just got hired for the job that they really, really wanted. But regardless of the reason, they are happy. You'll find that they kind of walk with a bit of a spring in their step, their back's up straight, their chest may be puffed out, they may be proud, but they have a very light kind of energy to them, almost like they're floating just above the ground. This is a higher vibration energy that astral parasites will not be produced from and cannot attach to. It's almost slippery to them. They just can't hold on to it. Then some of the other people may be angry. They may be full of rage, and they're walking fast, but their shoulders are slumped, their heads are down. They are kind of boring into the ground as they're walking. It's a very heavy energy, but because of the anger, it's very spiky. It's kind of electric almost, but it is still a negativity, and this can produce thought forms. Obviously, I mean it's an intense emotion, and that intense emotion can create quite negative thought forms, but it's not the kind of energy and thought form which may produce an astral parasite. What you'll find is a third kind of person, one who is neither of these things, is walking around slowly, almost dragging their feet along, has the slumped shoulders, but they're not happy, they're not sad, they're really not anything. They are just going through their day, just their normal day to day, and just drudging through it. And I think more and more people are finding themselves in this state, and especially with the way things are lately, there does seem to be a bit more anger that's coming through, which takes them out of that sludge that they seem to be walking through. But still, there's a lot of people who are getting into this state. And one of the reasons is technology. Technology is brilliant. I absolutely love technology. I think it's a fantastic tool. You can reach people across the world. You can talk to them. You can have a video chat. You can see them face to face and talk to them face to face. I think it's an absolutely fantastic tool. The problem is that it almost grabs the mind and it pulls it in. The algorithms that are being used are forcing us to focus more on it, to try and find an escape within technology, which is causing problems. It's causing a lethargy, and people are starting to forget about what's around them, the world around them, the people in their lives that are physically there. That it's just people are scrolling through social media, and half the time they're not even paying attention to what's going past. It's just this scrolling which creates this lethargy, which, I don't know, it's kind of sad really. But this is, I think, where most of the astral parasites are coming from. It's this sludge, this day-to-day plodding along, this drudgery that we have, and it brings our vibration into a lower state, and through that we start to create an energy which is kind of sticky, and as we continue to walk, some of it gets left behind, it gets pulled off, but it needs to feed, so it needs to find something, a food source. So it may go after the person again and attach again, or it may find somebody else comes walking by and they're the perfect candidate. Maybe they are one of the angry people, and they grab onto that, because after the anger's gone, after the adrenaline's finished, they're going to go into a low vibration state. They're going to be exhausted, and that's the perfect time for an astral parasite to grab on and hold, and then start to create some depression, some anxiety, and increase that fear and anxiety and depression and pain that they're feeling, and they can feed off that energy. So these astral parasites, I think lately anyway, the past several years, are coming from people who are in this state of lethargy, in this state of escapism, I guess we could say. And this sludge that they're walking through, just every now and again bits just get left behind and pull off, and then they find another source to stick onto, and they continue that way, and they feed. So if you are finding that you are going through your day-to-day and you're picking up this sludge, this negative energy, it's pretty normal really. We interact with people, we walk through areas where we pick up this stuff naturally, but it's a case of cleansing, and it's one of the foundational things within magic. You've got your meditation, your breath work. You can do your exercises on visualization and concentration and things like that, but another foundational thing is cleansing and protection. You have to cleanse. You have to bring yourself into a higher vibration so that those lower vibrations can't stick to you. And if you do find that you're in this state of lethargy, that you're in this state of sludge, seems to be coming back to that, this state of sludge, kind of like the imagery, then try and find something which will get you out of it. And it could be something really small. It could be just crocheting. It could be stamp collecting. It could be something, anything, whatever it is. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. Just something which sparks a passion. And as soon as that passion is sparked, it's going to start raising your vibration. And take it step by step by step. And sometimes you're going to take a few steps back. That's fine. That's natural. That's normal. But once you do that, just start walking forward again. So just find that little thing that gives you a spark of passion, and do it. Just do it. And that passion, that fire, will help to cleanse the negative energy, but the fire will transform you, and it will bring you into a higher vibrational state. The whole thing we're trying to do here is bring your vibration up. Bring it up so that the lower vibrations can't stick to you. It's quite simple really. If you are on a particular level and that level is the same as the astral parasites, it's easy for them to get hold of you. But if you go to a level which is higher, they can't get to you because you're not there anymore. So you try and raise your vibration onto a level which is there. One way of doing this is banishing rituals. If you do banishing rituals, what you're doing is you're raising your vibration to a level where these lower vibrations can't find a place. So, as I said, find something which sparks that passion, and that passion is the fire which will transform you, and keep at it, keep doing it, and then slowly your vibration will rise, will get higher, and you'll find that over time, and it's not going to happen overnight, it's not going to happen immediately, but over time, and you may not even notice it, you will get to a point where you are at a higher vibration. And every now and again something's going to happen in your life and you're going to come down to a lower vibration. That's fine. Don't beat yourself up about that, because that's life, that's normal, that's being human. But just recognize it when it happens, and recognize that you're getting yourself back into that state of sludge again, and then just do something which brings you out of it. So it's a case of just constantly keeping tabs on yourself, and when you do find yourself in a state of sludge, cleanse yourself. And you can take cleansing baths, you can take spiritual baths. One thing I like to do, which I've mentioned quite a lot in the past, is take a shower before sunrise. And if your sunrise is later than 6 a.m. in the morning, try and take the shower before 6 a.m. There's that in the Hindu practices, there's the period of sattvic energy between 4 and 6 a.m. And that sattvic energy is just incredible for cleansing. It's a meditative, it's a very spiritual type of energy. So what I like to do in the morning, I take a morning shower and I let that sattvic energy flow through the water and over me, and then wash all of the negative stuff away. And that's my daily cleansing practice. So you can do something like that. But as I said, there's a lot of different things you can do. Baths, shower, you can do banishing rites, you can just sit down and do a visualization where you are cleansing yourself. One of the other things I do like to do is I practice Qigong, and there's a particular movement where you bring your hands up above and you pull the energy down, and you slowly pull it down, and it's almost like as you're going past, it's a marrow cleansing, but I kind of imagine my skeleton becoming whiter and whiter as my hands are going past, and it kind of cleanses all the negative energy that I have within me. So there's a lot of different methods you can use to do cleansing, but cleansing is one of those things that you need to do. You need to do often. Alright, I think that kind of answers that question of where astral parasites come from anyway, and giving you some ideas of how to deal with it and how to handle it. I do believe that a majority of the astral parasites we deal with come from people who are in that lethargic state. It's just that sticky, slow energy that they are creating from states of depression, and especially lately more and more people are depressed, and the way the world's been, especially the past couple of years, I can't blame anybody for that. It's just one of those things that are going to happen, but if we can do something which try and do something which brings you out of it, it's going to help a lot. So yeah, anyway, okay, so that's it from me today, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good one for now. Cheers.